So what I want to do here is make a video answering the question, who is Jay Garrick? And what I'm hoping is that at the end of this, you'll have a strong understanding of why his character was made, as well as his origin and how he was a pivotal part of DC's launch of the multiverse. Created by Gardner Fox in January of 1940, Jay Garrick was introduced due to the popularity of Superman. Because a Man of Steel stood as the first superhero in comic book form, the surge in interest regarding comic books led DC to produce a series of other characters who were modeled after Superman's role in fighting on behalf of the common man, but had their own distinct abilities that separated them from one another. While Superman was an amalgamation of strength, speed, and durability, like Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and the Green Lantern Alan Scott, Jay Garrick represented an aspect of Superman by demonstrating the element of speed. In his first appearance during Flash Comics, which actually served as an anthology series introducing the other Golden Age heroes like Cliff Cornwall, Hawkman, and Johnny Thunder, Jay Garrick is introduced as a college student in Keystone City with a fondness for a woman named Joan who doesn't return his affections. As she explains, Jay Garrick's combination of athleticism and intelligence could make him a star, but because he doesn't apply himself, rather than being the best member of the football team, instead, he's considered the weakest member by his teammates, the coach, and everyone in the school. However, the reason for Jay Garrick's lack of interest in athleticism is shown when his intelligence is demonstrated while working with an unnamed man simply referred to as the Professor. While this original story refers to the Professor and Jay working on a substance called hard water, because the introduction of Jay Garrick came in 1940 and coincided with the dawn of the Manhattan Project and the development of the atomic bomb, the term hard water is most likely a stand-in for heavy water, which is also known as deuterium and works as an essential element in atomic radiation. However, during his efforts in separating the elements pertaining to their experiment, Jay Garrick goes to light a cigarette and in the process knocks over the mixture. Because he's exposed to the gaseous form of heavy water, the chemicals overwhelm his senses, causing him to pass out. With the Professor arriving the following morning and finding him collapsed on the floor, Jay Garrick is immediately taken to the hospital for medical treatment. Furthermore, according to one of the doctors who had been analyzing Jay, exposure to heavy water by physical contact causes a person to move with incredible reflexes, but because Jay Garrick inhaled the gases, the element has effectively bonded with his genes, allowing him to walk, talk, run, and think at superhuman speeds. Now again, DC takes liberties with the idea of heavy water by essentially making things up on the spot. In truth, exposure to heavy water and atomic radiation would most likely result in a grisly death by radiation sickness, but because atomic energy was a relatively new concept and because fans are more concerned with the introduction of new heroes as opposed to the science behind the development of their powers, the basis for Jay Garrick's introduction was taken without question. Furthermore, because Superman was the standout star, DC ensured that while Jay Garrick was able to move extremely fast, his speed and role within his comics did not overshadow Superman. As a result, the original depiction of Jay Garrick's speed is left ambiguous, except to say that he may be able to outrun a bullet at some point in the future. And so after discovering that his physiology had been modified to allow for super speed, Jay Garrick immediately goes about impressing Joan. Meeting her as she travels to the library for a book, Jay races to the library, grabs a book for her, and returns. Again, because this is the Golden Age, like many of the origins of the time, while the idea of Superman, Batman, and other superheroes existing in the same universe had not been established, DC simply goes with the idea that the arrival of superpowers is accepted without question. And so asking Joan on a date, she accepts Jay's advances, but only under the condition that he applies himself to football and helps the football team win the state championship. And so using his super speed, Jay is easily able to help the team win the game and in turn, wins the heart of Joan. So because Jay Garrick's initial introduction came during the dawn of the Golden Age and the introduction of comic book superheroes, in truth, with the Green Lantern Alan Scott, Hawkman, and Jay Garrick, their popularity was largely due to the luck of the draw and that for whatever reason, fans latched onto their characters. As a result, having undertaken the name The Flash to reflect how people viewed him when he was traveling at super speed, Jay Garrick became the main star of the Flash comics, serving as the first story in each issue. Furthermore, while the early stories were written by Gardner Fox, once the metaphorical training wheels were off and Jay Garrick had demonstrated the ability to stand on his own, by the summer of 1940, The Flash was used to launch the title All-Star Comics, which, like many of DC's anthology series at the time, served to introduce various characters to the comic book landscape, but was also famous for introducing the Justice League predecessor, the Justice Society of America. As the first and only team of superheroes in comic books at the time, the Justice Society was wildly popular among fans in that it centered on a combination of DC's top-tier characters like the Flash and Green Lantern, but also included second-tier characters like Sandman, the Atom, and Hawkman. Furthermore, with the Justice Society acting as a catalyst to continue the popularity of Jay Garrick, by 1941 he received his own solo series in the form of All Flash Quarterly, a series that was originally released in June, September, December, and March of 1941 and 1942 for its first 5 issues, and because of its popularity, was switched over to a bi-monthly series with issue number 6. However, following the conclusion of World War II, the popularity of superheroes was beginning to crumble, and while Flash was one of only a handful of characters that survived into the 1950s, with Flash Comics issue number 104 in 1956 at the close of the Golden Age and DC's relaunch of their publications by starting the Silver Age, the Flash title was cancelled due to poor sales and reintroduced with Barry Allen standing in as the new Flash, located in Central City. Furthermore, the problem the fans were faced with was a reconciliation between the fact that Superman, Aquaman, Batman, and Wonder Woman had all maintained the same identities from their introductions in the 1930s and the 1940s up until the current time, but the identities of the Flash and the Green Lantern had not. Where this question largely went unanswered by DC for 5 years, in 1961 this continuity issue was finally addressed in a story called The Flash of Two Worlds. Taking place in Flash Volume 1, issue number 123, the story saw DC reintroducing Jay Garrick by having himself and Barry Allen meet for the first time. Centering on Barry Allen as he performs tricks to the delight of children, what DC established was that the various realities that make up their multiverse all exist in the same space, but vibrate at different frequencies. Think of it this way. The different realities of DC's multiverse are similar to individuals humming at different pitches. If a person were wanting to travel into another reality, they would have to hum at the same pitch of the reality they were wanting to enter. With that in mind, while in the middle of one of his tricks, Barry Allen goes to vibrate himself in an effort to appear invisible. Unintentionally vibrating through the barrier between realities, he finds himself in Keystone City, the home of Jay Garrick from the Golden Age. Deducing the fact that he has arrived in an alternate reality, Barry Allen visits the home of Jay Garrick and in the process, provides us as the reader with an explanation of how Jay Garrick's existence relates to Barry himself. What we're told is that in Barry Allen's reality, Jay Garrick never existed as the Flash. Instead, Jay Garrick was a comic book character written by Gardner Fox with all the same details as they were depicted in the Golden Age of comics. While this was initially confusing to fans, Barry Allen cleared this up by stating that the Golden Age of comics from the introduction of Superman up until 1956 took place in an alternate reality called Earth 2, and that the Silver Age, which began in 1956, was a reality called Earth 1. Furthermore, the stories of Jay Garrick and Barry Allen's reality were the result of Gardner Fox dreaming and literally entering Jay Garrick's universe and creating stories based off those experiences. While this was far from the cleanest approach in terms of introducing an alternate reality in a seamless and non-confusing way, in the end it served its purpose by allowing DC to fold Jay Garrick into their run of publications, as well as having both himself and Barry Allen team up in future stories. However, because Barry Allen was the star Flash at the time, following the reintroduction of Jay Garrick, Barry's ability to move at the speed of light was maintained, while Jay Garrick's speed was slightly increased and granted him the ability to travel 20 times faster than the speed of sound. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.